Today I'm going to try my hand at making an apple mead, also sometimes known as an apple melomel or a sizer. Hi, I'm Charles and welcome to DIY Fermentation, your site for doing fermentation on a shoestring budget. Now to make our apple mead, we need the following ingredients. We need 1 gallon of 100% apple juice with no preservatives. We need 36 ounces or 1,000 kilograms of honey, raw honey. We need wine yeast. I'm going to be using Red Star Premier Blanc wine yeast for this particular batch. If you don't have it, use whatever you got. We need 1 tea bag, which is going to act as our tannin substitute. We need the juice of 1/2 of a lemon, which is going to act as our acid blend substitute. We're going to need a jug, jar, demijohn, or carboy to do primary fermentation in. We need star sands to make sure that everything has been sanitized. We need a hydrometer to help us determine our ABV, or alcohol by volume level. And we also need an airlock with stopper. That's what we're going to be using to make this mead. To help speed the process up a little bit, I had our honey sitting in warm water that I've now drained out so that it will flow that much more easily. And I've already prepared our tea. It's about 1/4 cup of tea. And I've got our 1/2 a lemon at the ready. Yeast, I'm going to wait until I've gotten the honey and 1/2 of the apple juice in the carboy, and I'll then go ahead and bloom the yeast. But to get this party started, let's open up one of our jars of honey. And we're going to rinse this jar out with a little bit of apple juice later on so that we can get every bit of that little honey. And see if I'm going to have better luck with this. I am. I don't need the entire container because I only need 36 ounces of honey. It's 1,000 kilograms for you non-imperial folks. Go ahead and add 1 of our containers of apple juice. And the only reason why I'm adding 1 at the moment is because I intend to shake this carboy up. And I only need one bottle of juice to do that. Put that over there for the moment. And since I'm shaking it up, I may as well add our tea for tannin. And I'll juice the lemon in just a moment. I can go ahead and put cap back on the jug. Carboy, demijohn, take your pick. And I'm going to go ahead and now begin to shake this up to mix. That went pretty well. I'm going to pour off a little bit of our mixture, because what I want to do is use that to begin the process of blooming our yeast. Using 1/4 teaspoon of yeast, I'm just going to sprinkle that across the top there for the moment, time being. Move that aside and go ahead and juice our 1/2 a lemon. that back there for a moment. Now we can go ahead and crack open our second bottle of apple juice. Could have left this on there. And let's go ahead and bring up the level a bit. I'm not going to fill it all the way to the top because I still have to add our yeast. And while we're waiting for that, now that I've rehydrated the yeast, we can go ahead and add that to the mix. And I usually don't do this, but I'm going to give this one more good shake. Just to give that yeast a little bit more to work with. Now all I have to do is just top it off. You know what? Almost just slipped my mind. Yep, it almost slipped my mind. We need to take a hydrometer reading real quick. We are going to have a hydrometer reading of, looks like 1.10. Yep, 1.106. All right, now that that's out the way, we can now reinsert our airlock. And now we can begin the process of labeling our jug, starting with apple mead, which we started the 24th, and we ended up with a original gravity reading of 1.10, make that 4. Looked like a 6, but I'll change it if it's wrong. All right, just put that away for the next several weeks. Rack it for the next several weeks after that. Rack it next several weeks after that. Rack it. Within about 6 months to a year, this mead should be done. So until then, I'll see you in my next video. Now in this video, we're going to be doing a taste testing of a 1-gallon batch of apple mead that I made 14 months ago. Now there are actually 2 spoilers in this scene. And with that being said, hi, I'm Charles and welcome to DIY Fermentation, your site for doing fermentation on a shoestring budget. Now at the onset, I should point out that I had the opportunity already to taste this mead. This was last month. I had used the 1-gallon batch in my mead pasteurization video, which allowed me to basically pasteurize a 1-gallon batch of mead and to remove all of the sediment that occurs when you back sweeten using honey. That process actually worked out very well. The wine is, or rather mead rather, is perfectly clear in the bottle. And it's a process that I'll continue to use going forward when I'm pasteurizing my meads. Now, the downside of that is that you do tend to lose a little bit, okay, because of the sediment that's sitting at the bottom of the carboy. It was not quite enough to fill the entire last bottle, the fifth bottle. It would have been enough to fill one of the smaller Otis type pressure bottles, but I decided to go ahead and see what the results of my creation would be, and decided to go ahead and give it a taste. And as a result of that, it now turns out that I now have a new favorite. Okay, not a favorite mead, but a new overall favorite. Hence the spoilers. This is a 2-gallon batch that I currently have in the works now because 5 bottles is just not enough. And I decided to dress up my bottles with caps and the whole 9 yards. Unfortunately, 5 bottles that I have remaining is going to go something like this. 1 bottle for today's testing, 1 bottle as a gift, 1 bottle for my son, which leaves me 1 bottle left, which is not quite enough, hence making a 2-gallon batch next time. All right, with that having been said, we can now go ahead and begin our tasting. Let's see if 1 month additional time has improved it any more than it already has. Let me get these out the way. I'm kind of hesitant to open this because I'd better save it, but I'm going to do this for you. By the way, I did order a waiter's key to do my bottle openings in the future. Well, not all of them, but I've bowed to pressure from my significant other, and I've decided to go ahead and buy one. All right. Initial observations. 1, there is no sediment in the bottle at all. So that pasteurization process worked very well. I'll just pour a very small sample for the camera because when this video is over, I'm killing the rest of this bottle. It has nice body. It's not a thin wine. Oh, which reminds me, before I get into all of that, I'm sorry, thin mead. I'm going to make that mistake from time to time. Just bear with me. All right. ABV ended up at 13.13%, which is, I think, where I really like to have my wines and meads, the level at which I'd like to have it. This was pasteurized once again, starting with a very small sample, whilst I act like I know what I'm doing. Again, it's very clear. What you get from the nose is the honey is forward. Followed by the alcohol. And not so much of the apple. The thing I like about meads overall, since I started making them, is that meads have generally a smooth finish. They do. And at 14 months, this has a smooth finish. There was one adjustment that I made to the original recipe after I did the tasting. Well, it wasn't after I tasted it. This is the tasting. And that was to reduce the amount of acidity. I think in the original recipe, I used half a lemon for a 1-gallon batch. In this batch here, I used half a lemon for a 2-gallon batch. And I think that should bring the acidity right to where it needs to be. Or where I like it, at least anyway. There's just a tiny little bit of harshness at the back end at 14 months. I think I'm getting to the point now where Even though I'm recommending 12 months as a good starting point, an average amount of time to wait for your wines and meads to be drinkable, I think I'm now getting to the point where I'm thinking now 15, 16 months or more to have something that's really an outstanding mead or wine. It all comes down to are you able to wait for it? And one of the advantages of doing a 1 gallon batch is that you get to try different things to find out what does and what does not work. And when you do find something that does work, minor tweaking aside, you can then start doing larger batches. Again, I can max out at 3 gallons with this. But again, I also don't have a whole lot of space to make 5, 6, on upwards gallons of wines and meads. But again, I liked it to the point where this has now become my new favorite, to the point where I'm now making multiple gallons of it at a time. Slight acidity issues aside, which I've corrected. Oh, which reminds me, again, when I do make the corrections in all of my tastings, whether at the 6-month, which I no longer do, or the 12-month tastings, I usually go back to the original video or the description section of the original video where I have the listing of ingredients. And I usually make the adjustments there, and you'll know that I made the adjustments because it will say modified by the date. And I'll have the date that I made the modifications to that particular ingredient. And in this particular original video, you'll just simply say that the amount of lemon juice was simply reduced by half to make this mead on point. Again, very simple video. I don't know really what else to say because there was really not very much that was wrong with this particular mead. I can't say that I am glad that I've finally managed to get this channel into making a number of meads so that I can find out what I do and what I don't like. I still like my very first original plain Jane mead, which I have one. I think I have one last bottle left. I'm holding on to that one for dear life. But no, that's all I'm going to say for this particular video. Apple mead, 14 months old, 13.13%. Minor adjustment in the acidity, and no, this is perfect. This is the one that I'm going to give away. I really hate to give away my bottles. At least one of these will be given away as a gift. If I had a representation of what I do and wanted to let people try and see what it is that I do, this would probably be the one that I would have them start with, and then move on from there. So again, if you like what you see here, please click on the subscribe and notify buttons. Better yet, become a member. Better yet, become a Patreon. And I'll see you in the next videos throughout the coming year. See ya.